back, bro. It's one of his players, bro.
It was especially when they were starting out in the 90s and 20s. Welcome to another episode of Football Theory with your hosts Guti and Ivan. Guti, how you doing? Back at it. You're the busy man here. How you doing?
I tell you, I have a knack for getting busy. I have this thing where I fill my schedule with things. So I'm really like infamous for that in my house. So, just trying to make it work. I don't know any other way. I kind of go crazy when I don't have anything to do. So it's all good. We're back to school and everything's rolling again. No more pandemic kind of, and no more summer break. Let's go.
Yeah. We're going straight into it. First things first, probably the biggest news of the world soccer, and obviously the biggest news. Messi officially leaves Barcelona, goes to PSG. Where do we begin to unravel everything with this? Because this is, it's made world news. It led off when the news came out that he was leaving Barcelona. It led off, Sports Center, all these talking shows that usually don't cover soccer. A lot of them, that's what they started off with. What are your overall reactions? Because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago where we thought he might leave, but they thought it seemed like they figured it out. And, they didn't. And he's gone after 17 years, or more than 17 years, but 17 first team.
More than 20 years
with this. Yeah.
It's funny because we talked about that before. And I think a couple episodes back, we said, and you said, how do you feel about a pay cut? I'm like, that's good. He's got to make the pay cut. He's got to take the pay cut to do it. And you were saying, Barca doesn't know how to spend their money. And we talked about it different ways. It's definitely shocking. And people are trying to compare why I don't see this much news when Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid. I'm like, it's a totally different story. Not because, one's better than the other. No, it's because Cristiano Ronaldo is not from Real Madrid. You know what I mean? And that's not his home team. So yeah, it's big news him leaving that team. He made a mark there. He's a big time, obviously one of the best ever there. But Messi's like that last kid and that last kid star that La Masia is going to probably produce. They're going to produce some really solid Spanish players and guys that could play. But Messi's that last story of a kid coming from another country at the age of 12, and just making his whole family go there, and then just creating, being the best player in the world. Obviously, if you like Ronaldo, you could say 1A, 1B. Either way, we're going to just say the best player in the world. So it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal because it's not because I'm a Barcelona fan, but because it's the last player of its kind. I really do think that. And I think we all wanted to kind of see him just leave with Barcelona. That's what I said. I didn't want to see him in the MLS. And now I just feel like it's going to be maybe 1 or 2 years, right, at PSG, and then from there on, he's probably going to be charging a couple of years more, and that's it. And then I really didn't like that exit. I kind of wanted him to finish it off there,
Yeah. I'm not a Barcelona fan. When it comes to teams in Europe, I'm a Real Madrid fan actually. But I've always liked Messi. I didn't like when he would beat Real Madrid or anything like that. But it's hard to dislike his skill level, just the way he is. It's really difficult to dislike him and for me, I never once kind of compared it to Ronaldo. It seemed like two real apples and oranges type of exits with Ronaldo and Real Madrid. It seemed really amicable, much more amicable than I thought people would assume when he eventually would leave Real Madrid that it would be. It was pretty quiet, the exit, really, for the most part. It happened right before the World Cup in 2018. There was no real bad blood or story behind it or anything, and he goes to Juventus, and it all kind of happened during the World Cup, and so it just kind of seemed like a done deal like that. And since the Ronaldo exit, Real Madrid hasn't reached the heights that they've reached. Ronaldo hasn't reached the heights with Juventus. Doesn't mean that I don't think that the exit was a bad exit, though. It's impossible to ask a team who's won 3 out of the last 4 of the last 5 Champions League to continue that level of excellence. It's impossible. That's why it hasn't been done before, and it's not going to be done after. But the thing with Messi, I think it just Barcelona. We talked about earlier. This is all in Barcelona for me. They knew the levels, and they knew they can calculate salaries and the problems they had, and they didn't do anything to fix it. And it almost seemed like they knew that this was going to come up, and instead of taking it head on, they cowardly made it seem and put it on La Liga when it's actually their fault for how They could have sold him last year for a couple $100 million and saved some money, but instead they without it kind of seemed like they didn't plan ahead. They never planned for anything, and now that's put them here in a situation. And they put Messi through this emotional roller coaster, and you can kind of see it when he left, just the emotion, the pure just pain that he was in, and I think that's fully on Barcelona.
It's definitely on them. I mean, he didn't want to leave. I mean, let's just be real. I
No.
don't think he wanted to leave. Like you said, he grew up there, and it's a as a it's like any team. If you have a player that come out of the academy, and all of a sudden the player just becomes bigger than your actual franchise because he's worldwide. I mean, they got lucky with that. They found a player, they brought him over, they formed him, to the highest potential he could be, and obviously he fit into a group that was already established, a generation of players, of Spanish young players that were coming up, like Xavi, Iniesta, and the rest of those guys, and he just he fit into that group as a youngster, and then he he overweighted. He kind of like became too big, and like you said, Barca didn't know how to manage the money. The money was just too much. They were getting all this money off of him, revenue, and I don't know where the money went, right? Like, how do you spend all that money that he's generating? And it's just funny how you see, like, okay, they're having financial issues. How does PSG afford everything they do? Like, what is going on? Like, it's funny, right? Now they're signing, they said they just signed the last two, Real Madrid's and Barcelona's captains, right? They got Ramos and they got Messi. And it's like, how do you do that? Like, how do you get that kind of money? So I don't know, man. I don't feel bad for Barcelona. I am a Barcelona fan before Messi. I'm going to be a Barcelona fan after Messi, just because I've always liked the style of play. I've liked the La Masia. I like the whole story behind it. And, I feel like it's going to be definitely a whole rebuilding process now. It could be good for Barcelona too. Like, it's kind of like, it's a big paycheck, right? It is not like they can't afford it. They should have been able to afford it, but I think it's just time to maybe cut ties and start over and cut some heads off. And they got to start over, man. They got to start over.
Yeah. I was a Real Madrid fan before Ronaldo, and actually, honestly, I'm probably more of a Messi fan than Ronaldo between the both, even though Ronaldo played for the team I liked. But, I think we're of a different generation now where we probably are more of a team person than we are a player person. I think you see the younger generation now, they'll follow players they really like, and wherever team those players go to, they'll kind of now be fans of those teams. And I see it a lot in basketball. You see it now. You see it in soccer as well, football, or you want to call it. To an extent, we kind of have that when we see Mexican players go to European clubs because we want them to do well. So you start following these European teams.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care where they're at. Like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. But this was such an interesting thing because yes, he was making a lot of money, and I don't think anybody knew how much he was making until it came out how much he was. But the revenue he brought in for the club outweighed, with his likeness and his visibility, outweighed anything that they were paying him. So they were in the green with that. It was everything else that was the red, and he was willing to take a pay cut to stay with the team. So he was going to make less money. The revenue is going to stay the same, more or less. You know what I mean? But year by year, it might go down a little bit, but it's going to stay equal. So that's not the problem. It was just horrible. Yeah, just Barcelona just not forecasting and mismanaging the La Liga rule of 70% of your salary from the revenue that you make as a team. 70% of that is the player's salary, and I think they were at 115 counting Messi's wages. They were at 95 without him. They were struggling to sign the players, to register the players they signed because of it. And yeah, it's just a huge fumble for them completely. And I think I mentioned this last time we talked about this, that Messi kind of prolonged the Barcelona's need to rebuild because he was just that good, and he found so many ways to just continue to carry the team even when they probably should have lost more games. And so I mean, now there's a new board and it's a new regime in Barcelona, but I think it's gonna be ugly. I think
it's gonna be ugly before it gets nice again, for sure. It's gonna be ugly for a little bit, but I think that's not the style of Barcelona I like anyway. That's not the one I fell in love with as a kid anyways. I fell in love with the Rafa Marquez's and the Henry and the Eto'os, and a lot of stars coming in and out, Ronaldinho, but there was a style of play where you're like, wow, this is sick, and then Messi obviously just fit in that perfect when he came up. But there's a whole generation of Pep Guardiola, and then the players coming up, and I just feel like everything has to come to an end, and I think they have to kind of go back to their roots and obviously start budgeting better. You don't need to make these big signings. I don't think that needs to be the Barcelona way, because before, like when they got these players, they weren't getting them at like the height where they cost so much money. They were kind of getting guys that fit into the system, and they were like, "Wow, this guy's dope. This guy's dope." You know what I mean? Like, because you're not gonna tell me that Rafael Marquez. I know Rafael Marquez wasn't the star of the team, but you're not gonna tell them that they cost them a lot of money. They
Yeah,
didn't cost them a lot. They got them from
Monaco.
Monaco, right? And so you're like, it was more like a better scouting department, right? Of getting guys that could fit into that role and play these positions. So I just feel like they got to start over, man. Like they just got to start over. It's going to be ugly for a couple of years, um, and not try to fix those little, like what we call NBA band-aids, where you're getting like, these veterans to come in and try to win this season. And you kind of have to just kind of let it go and start over.
Yeah, the problem, I think, kind of, because you're talking about generational players when you talk about Iniesta, when you talk about Xavi, when you talk,
that was a whole group. Victor Valdez, that's a whole group. Piqué, not even Piqué, Puyol, right? That's a whole group that came up together. Yeah.
So the problem is sometimes not the next batch of players might not be generational talents at that level, right?
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, they got Pedri, who's 8. I mean, he was Bob, but he's 18, he's 19, 20, he's 19, shows a lot of talent, but you can't, no matter how good your scouting is, no matter how good your development is, generational talents are generational talents, and teams are generational teams for a reason. You know what I mean? You see with Manchester United, they've gone, decades of having at least one academy player on the team, but that 99 class, there hasn't been another class like that for Manchester United. And, that group held over for quite a long time. And then they were able to get, Wayne Rooney and plug in players here and there. But, that's a rarity. And it was a rarity for Man United. And I think United fans kind of are realizing that. It took a little while to realize this. It's a rarity for Barcelona. And I think now they're going to go through a process of seeing this as well. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens, because that generation of players that you talked about, not just Messi, but all of them, they were, they defined a generation of international soccer besides club soccer, and from the 2009 all the way to 2004, or a little before.
2 Euros and a World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about 2 Euros and a World Cup. You're talking about Barcelona, Real Madrid, a lot, with a couple of appearances from Bayern Munich, dominating European soccer in the tens when it comes to European Cup, Champions Leagues. And it's appreciated, I think, because I think it might be a while before you get to that level. You're kind of seeing the English clubs make a return with the money they got. You got PSG now with the influx of talent they have. And quickly on PSG, they got Wijnaldum from Liverpool, they got Hakim from Inter Milan, they got Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid, they got Donnarumma from Milan, and they got Leo Messi, and they only paid for one of them. The rest of them were all free. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean,
it feels like, doesn't it feel like a little, Laker kind of team up, big team, big three, big five kind of thing, where it's like, let's go here because I know they're all going to pay us money, but let's go here because we're going to be in Champions League right away. And like, we know the league is a little less strenuous than, because like, for example, like Messi can go anywhere. We all know that. And he could probably play anywhere, obviously. But, you go to England, you're not going to win every game. That's not how it works. That league is very even. There's a lot of competition every weekend. They go hard. And I just feel like, and no disrespect to the French league, but let's be real, that PSG roster is too much for the French league. You know what I mean? So I think it's more like, let's all team up here, and let's, and obviously Paris is kind of like, I guess, attracting to go live it, I guess, if you're going to change places. So, it's like, let's go to Paris, let's meet up. It's kind of like the Lakers, where people just kind of go places, go to Miami, let's meet up in wherever and play together. I don't know. It's getting that feel.
I don't know if this is going to set the precedent, or if this just, not coincidence, but just a moment in time where you're seeing a lot of free transfers now, where players are kind of,
holding out. Yeah.
They're holding out. They're staying pretty firm. They're waiting till their contract expires instead of trying to re-up kind of earlier than usual. And the next big one is Mbappe, whose contract runs out at the end of this season. He could, and so now PSG is kind of in a position where if he does not want to stay and they are holding out hope that he stays and he doesn't, he's gone. And they've lost out on a transfer that's costing that they could get $200 million from the fee. You know what I mean? And it's just very, will that be a new trend going forward with these players, or is this just kind of like a moment in time where it just happened to all fall into place for all these guys?
No, I think it's gonna come into play. I think a lot of these teams, well, a lot of these European teams, and not a lot of them, but a handful of them are owned by American people, right? American companies, and I think a lot of them are trying to base themselves around these other professional leagues. So I feel like these sports agents are not dummies, and I feel like you said, they're gonna hold out because they're like, okay, yeah, I do want security, I do want you to pay me the next 3 years, but what if I wait 6 months? My contract expires. I get to go wherever I feel like going. You know what I mean? I get to choose now. And let's be real, these guys want a chance to choose where they're going to go. And I know it's not on the same level, but you see it happen in Mexico too. Like people like, Orbelín Pineda is letting his contract just run out with Cruz Azul. And it's like, I want to go to Spain. I just want to go. I want to go to Europe because I want to go. You're not letting me go. So if I sign with you again, yes, I'll be comfortable in my home country. Yes, I'll make some really good money. I'm going to make millions of dollars, and enough to live in Mexico, a lot to live in Mexico. But he's like, I'd rather just wait. And I get to go where I want, and I want to go to Europe. So I'm going to go when I feel like going. And then, so I know it's a little bit different because obviously they're trying to make that jump, and people in Europe are trying to just make more money. But I think they're going to hold out, bro, because these players are getting smarter. Their agents are getting smarter, and they're like, look, I understand you're going to sign me for 3 years, but maybe I don't want a 3-year contract. Maybe I want 1 year with a lot of money, or whatever it may be, or I want a chance for, a lot of these guys have families or whatever it may be, and they don't want to move. Messi didn't want to leave, like we just said, he doesn't want to leave, but he's not going to also just go to, like, no disrespect, he's not going to go to Getafe. He's not going to move to Mallorca. You know what I mean? Like, he's too big for that city. He needs to go where his family could feel comfortable and I would say, quote unquote, I guess a big city where, he could be also on TV and his sponsors want him in places that he can make money. So, that's what's going to happen, man. You're right. It's going to be I think it's going to be a new thing for the next couple of years.
Well, sure. And there's also, the difference between Orbelín and, Messi is that,
well, there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah, but Orbelín, to make it in Europe, needs to take a pay cut to make it in Europe, right? Yes. Because the Mexican market is over and fluctuated with the value of the Mexican player, so they cost more, so they can demand more. But to make it in Europe, for depending where you are, higher competition, higher league, you might need to take a pay cut. Messi is already at the top of his sport, so for him, Sergio Ramos, or any of these guys, when people say, "Oh, how are they not going to take how are they not going to play for free if they really love these clubs?" They have the right to demand the money that they're worth. They have the right to earn the money that they have earned from the work that they put in. Yes. Okay, just because you're on your computer and you play video games and you didn't make it to that level and you can't sniff their bootstraps and you want to play for free, go try playing for free on Sundays, because that's where you're getting, and they're going to pay you with beer at halftime. These athletes have put in the work, put in the effort to play at that level, to earn the money that they are asking for, especially if the market dictates it. So,
and the owners have the money. If not, they wouldn't be. Yeah, owners have the money.
PSG is owned by a country, so of course they got the money.
And these players, I mean, they're getting smarter, because how many players do we know now in any sport that are older? Like, let's put Maradona, rest in peace, but let's put his generation for example. Those guys are not rich right now. Those guys that play in the 80s and stuff, like, they're not rich, like we would say rich. And a lot of those guys are still working on TV. They're still working as journalists, whatever it may be, because they weren't paying the salaries they're paying now. And they're going to tell you, you know what, guys, you need to play for as much money as you can. I'm sorry. And that's why these Brazilian players, they go to China, they go to Qatar, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, you want to have prestige and play for Bayern Munich and go to Champions League. That's all cool. But there's only certain spots for those players. There's not spots for everyone. So I'm never going to knock a guy for going and getting paid, because their career is already short enough to begin with, right? They're all one slide tackle away from an ACL injury, and it's over. And you can ask players like, I know Adriano quit for other reasons, but his father passed away. But Adriano was like one of these players. I never forget how good he was. Like, what the hell happened to him? Or players that you're like Kaká, that kind of just fell off the map after a while, or like Juninho, right? Pernambucano, right? The German, the Brazilian cats. Like, a lot of these guys, where you see them coming up and their careers last 5-6 years, and you're like, okay, I hope they got paid, because what are they going to do after? You know what I mean? So you got to make your money, man. You got to make your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a difference, I think, between players from like Maradona's age and everything, or even the ones, 10, 15 years ago. And it's not just in soccer. You're seeing it in basketball as well, and football. These athletes are taking better care of themselves to have that longevity, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Messi, whether it's Sergio Ramos, whether it's LeBron James, Tom Brady. You seeing
El Conejo
these,
Pérez.
you see
Conejo Pérez.
Conejo
El
Pérez.
Conejo Pérez.
These players are, taking care of themselves to keep themselves at that level as long as possible. Modric just re-signed with Madrid for another couple of years. Last year at the elite level, he would look to maybe a step behind, but he did fantastic at his age running the Madrid midfield. And it's a different, these athletes are just taking care of themselves at a different level, I think, to help with that longevity.
They're
and to
better
keep
educated.
themselves around, better educated, more information out. Sergio Ramos is in better shape now at his mid-30s than he was in his like early 20s, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you got guys that throw it away. You got guys like, I know we're just calling Mexican players out, but Marco Fabian, Giovanni Dos Santos, that are 32, 31, they can't find a team, so they're, because they don't take care of their bodies, because they don't put the work in, because they don't surround themselves with people that are going to put them in the right situation, right? Like these guys like last for a long time, like Zlatan. Don't forget about Zlatan, right? He's an old dude.
Yeah.
These guys, Buffon, right, lasted forever. These guys surround themselves with the right people. They're getting more educated at the younger age. Like Mbappe is probably getting way more educated than like these other guys were, and so now it's like he's probably gonna go chase that paper, and it doesn't matter where he goes. I think he's gonna go get that money. Even we'll see how well he does, with the group. But if he gets the chance to make like more money than he does there, he's gonna leave. He's gonna want to leave. So, the careers are short enough, and a player like Mbappe, who've already won the World Cup, it's like, what else is there to win? He was only 19 when he won it. So it's like, from this point on, anything's just, you got to cash up, So
yeah, I mean, and
it's a change in history. Messi leaving.
And what's for one player obviously is not for, what works for one player doesn't work for another one. You know what I mean? For, someone like Mbappe, maybe he does, there is a new challenge to be made at a different team, at a different club, in a different league, Real Madrid, maybe, who am I to say? Maybe
America.
Real Madrid. Yeah. But there is a challenge to play in something like that, and to challenge themselves while they have the opportunity, because they want to win Player of the Year, they want to win a Champions League, to add to the history of this lineage that they grew up with and know about. You know what I mean? So it's very, it's sad, because I think you're right. There is not going to be there's going to be less and less of players staying for one club for such a long time, the rarity of it.
And get to that level, get to that point.
Get to that level.
Because you just named Mbappe, who's not at his original club anyways, right? We're naming guys that aren't at their club anymore, and the next one is going to be, what's the Norwegian cat, the baller?
Oh, yeah, Haaland.
Yeah, he's a baller. He's not staying at Dortmund, right? Because they're not going to be able to keep paying him. He's going to have to leave. He's going to have to go make more money. So we're not going to see these generational talents come up and stay at these teams for that long. Like Real Madrid's not going to produce a kid that's going to get to that level. They're just not, because that's not what their focus is with the academy. See what I'm saying? Like, and I just feel like that's why this is like one of those last guys is going to be like, wow, he came from a little kid, to that point. It's like, wow, especially from a different country. So
yeah, absolutely. And and there's all these rules now too.
You can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, with registering players from a different country. Yeah. It's sad to see, but people do have to remember he's not dead. He just transferred to a different team. He is very sad.
La Liga is
talked about.
La Liga, but dead,
so. La Liga's not dead. I mean, they just signed a nice deal with ESPN. I think, and it's one of those things where, like, if it wasn't now, it was gonna be in like 2 or 3 years that he was gonna leave anyways. So I think it's just sadder the way it happened, especially when you see his lagrimas just come out in that press conference and everything.
Yeah, like San Mateo was not happy at all. So
yeah. So
and, you gotta, like, it's better if they would have like, oh, he's leaving, this is last season, everyone hurry up, go to these games and watch a farewell game. It's like, but we know he's gonna come back and do a farewell game. We know that, but it's like, dang.
But you know what it is? That's Barcelona's arrogance of doing things badly and getting away with it, and that arrogance of feeling invincible through stupidity, and then this is what happens. It all comes crashing down. It all came crashing down for them. You know what I mean? So those are my 2 cents. You can take it with a grain of salt. because I said earlier I was a Real Madrid fan. I try to be as impartial as possible. I'd be saying the same thing. I would hope in my hearts of hearts that if this happened with a Real Madrid player, but I mean, Real Madrid just had a club legend leave, and it wasn't mutual either, but at least they did it earlier in the summer. They didn't keep holding him and pulling him along with it. So, I mean, if it sounds like if I'm beating them Barcelona up because I'm a Real Madrid fan, then so be it. But
no, you're fine. Don't worry. I mean, people ask me like, how do you feel about it? I go, dude, like I like Barcelona before Messi was even a player that was even like heard of. You know what I mean? I didn't even know of him yet. So like, I don't, I don't want him to leave, but it's like I've always liked Barcelona. I'm always gonna like them. I mean, I was fortunate enough to watch Messi play twice in person. I got to watch him in 2006 in LA, Chivas Barcelona, when he was really, really young, and then I got to see him again a couple years later in Bay Area when he played against Chivas again. So, it was really cool for me to see him, Gio, Rafa Marquez in 2006, all on the team. That was really cool. And obviously we didn't know what Messi was going to be. He had just had like a crazy, or I think he was actually headed to the U20 World Cup, and we were going to see what he was going to do. But it was really cool to like see that. And obviously I didn't go back. I wasn't one of these fanboys that people say and go chase him around and buy Messi stuff. No, but I know obviously it's going to be weird without him. It's going to be weird.
Yeah,
that's my final word. It's going to be weird.
But these and it might be ugly for a little bit, but these teams will come back. Barcelona will come back in some form. It might not be right away, but they will come back sooner or later. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that'll do it for this segment. But after that, we're gonna come back and we're gonna focus on our bread and butter, baby, Mexican soccer.
Mexico.
And welcome back. We just cleaned up ourselves after wiping the tears from our eyes from our Messi testimonial. And Guti, we had Mexico finish third in the Olympics. Nice third place finish, having revenge against Japan, who beat them earlier in the group stage, 3-1. How are you feeling now after all of this? Waking up early, catching the games later, whatever. It was a lot of soccer for Mexico this summer, but a bronze. Spain and Brazil finished silver and gold, but a very proud bronze for Mexico to take home, I think.
Yeah, I think bronze is weird, right? Because bronze is like, man, we're better than the second place team, right? Like that's how it works. But because you end with the win, right? It's better than losing the final.
With happiness.
Yeah, you end but it's also just shows you like two things we learned from this team is like, two things that they did big. They took the champions Brazil to PKs, and we talked about it, moral victories, whatever. You lose in PKs to Brazil, but man, we almost expect it, which is bad. The second thing is you got to beat the team that beat you in the group, and you got to beat them really bad at home. And you're like, dude, we got to beat Japan. They didn't get to get a medal at their house, which they had done that to Mexico a long time ago, in the Mexico Olympics. So like, 68. I feel like that was like 50 years ago, but I feel like that was really cool to see. Because it shows that, like, okay, Jimmy Lozano was. I know some Japan was tired, but there's no excuses, right? Tired or not, it is what it is. Mexico's like, okay, this is how we're gonna play Japan this time around, And we saw that change when they played Korea. I thought that was like the best played game. I know they got scored on, but like you just saw them open up and just go at them. And Japan too, that was a really good game. Brazil, they probably played them with a little more timidness than they should have, But it's Brazil. They want to respect them a little bit. But if they play Brazil again, Mexico probably wins. They could probably split a series if they played each other, So I think we go home with a good feeling. You never want to get third place, but it's better than fourth. And you get a medal. If you go to semifinals in any tournament, you did your job. And you obviously from there, you want to try to win it. So I'm okay with the bronze medal. Like I said before, we got guys that earned a lot of respect from their coaches. And we also get to see some guys that are like, maybe they could work out for the senior team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we kind of lose. Everything in sports in general is just win, 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 win. The Olympics in spirit is for you to take a step back and reflect. And a silver and a bronze medal is nothing to waft about, considering we've only medaled one other time in the Olympics, and that was 2012 when we won gold.
Yeah, so, 2 medals in 3 Olympics.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the U.S. hasn't even qualified to those 3. So
yeah, and. I won't talk about the teams that make it. I don't want to talk about those teams, but I'll keep focused on here.
Just to show you're looking at it. You're like, look at the last 2-3 teams that won, right? The last 3 teams that won: Mexico, Brazil. I mean, that's
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. And I'm with you that I'm very impressed that the team. I thought the Japan victory was the most impressive one because it showed a level of growth in a short amount of time, where Japan were much more the better team in the group stage. And at that point, Mexico had lost to Japan in the group stage. They lost to Brazil in PKs. So can they beat a team, a quality team? South Korea is pretty good, but they were much better. Can't so France showed to be they were fine, but can they seek revenge? Not revenge, but can they improve and beat a team of quality who proved to be quality like Japan? And they did. So I was very impressed by the coaching adjustments to get into it, the seriousness they took it to want to win that bronze as well. And for me, so I was very proud about that because it showed a level of growth both by the players and the coaches in a week's time. And you do leave on a good note with the bronze, and you could see the pride that each of the players had in holding that bronze medal. So I think great achievement for them, and I think it builds for so much confidence for a lot of these guys moving forward.
You know how much you like? I looked it up because you know how countries give you money, right, for like getting a medal.
Yeah.
I looked it up. You give Mexico players, those guys, even though they don't need it really, but they get $500 a month for the rest of their lives with the bronze medal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw it because every committee has their thing, and so the Mexican Olympic Committee bronze medal was $500 a month for the rest of your life, and silver was like 600, and I think gold was like 650. So I'm like, okay, look, $500 a month for the rest of your life. That's pretty dope. I mean, especially in Mexico, like you're okay. I mean, you're okay. I mean, obviously they have more money coming in, but $500, I mean, they could help someone else in their family do something with that, So, and not like the soccer players need it because they're professionals, but the other athletes as well are able to do that. And other countries offer more, like some countries that don't win as much. I think like Mongolia offers like $1 million, but they don't really expect their athlete to win, but it's pretty cool to see that.
I think South Korea, you don't do your military time if
Yeah,
you
you
want
don't
a
serve your
medal.
military time.
You don't serve your military time if you win a medal, which is
so it's pretty cool. But it was just a side note. But no, look at the players, like they got to see the medal, and obviously you'd rather be in the final, you'd rather go for that silver and that gold. But things work out that way. I just feel like it's not bad to lose in PKs to Brazil and to beat the team that already beat you. So you go home like, hey, we only lost in PKs once and we split with Japan. Obviously if you beat Japan, you get to go on the other side of the bracket, you get to avoid Brazil, go to the final, but then you could have lost the final 3-4-0 and it wouldn't taste the same as a win in the third place match. So
or you could have lost to a very good Spain team too. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
and then we'd be talking about shoot, so hey, I'm okay with it. I think we just, like I said, it's experience for these guys. And I don't like, people that downplay the Olympics. We know that before the Olympics, that was the World Cup. Before the World Cup, the Olympics, the first couple ones, and we know Uruguay is fighting for that right now. But those used to be like the world soccer event, So it's cool for young guys to go out there and get a chance to be on the world stage. And because of it, and I know it's going to go to the next topic, but because of it, a couple of players are getting looks at, and being able to go to Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Vasquez looks like he's on his way to Italy. Vega had a good tournament. Looks like he's getting looks as well. Atuna looks like he might be going to Europe, even though it's Olympiacos. So if that's the move, I don't know if that's the right move. That's where I would want to go if I'm going to Europe with Greece, but who am I to say? But yeah, I mean, also, shout out to Jimmy Lozano, who has put in great work with his youth team. I think he sets himself nicely for after 2022 to possibly get a look for the Mexican national team for him and his coaching staff. So, great lookout, great for him. And it would be great for a qualified Mexican coach, a young qualified Mexican coach to take over the Mexican national team.
Yeah, he definitely
something that hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. I don't know if it's up yet, but I think I know he was saying he was getting looks at in Japan to go work, or different places. So I think obviously there's some time before the next World Cup cycle, a couple years. So I think he should try to get something else, but absolutely. I think he had a crack before, right, in Querétaro? Wasn't he at Querétaro before? So he's had a crack. I think it is time for young Mexican coaches. I mean, we know like Piti Altamirano's coaching. We know Ramon Morales is coaching. And these guys are like in their 40s, So I feel like, a lot of these guys should get a crack at some of these first club teams, and get a chance. And even if it's not in Mexico, even better. To be honest, Jimmy Lozano doesn't go to Mexico, it's even better. If he can go somewhere else and get a chance somewhere else and pick up a little more, a new style, and not get sucked in with what we do in Mexico all the time, it'd be better for the Mexican pool of coaches.
Yeah, I agree with you. You go to a different part of the country and you're able to a different part of the world, and you're able to pick up and learn different things, both, from a soccer perspective and a cultural perspective that can help you on later,
Yes.
totally. And, with your point that if he goes to a different country to coach, that taste of finishing third and getting that bronze win is going to stay in the mind of the Mexican people and the federation, the fans,
Yeah.
where when they do want to bring him back, it's going to see him as a positive, you know what I mean? And nothing from Mexico, if he does come back to coach in Mexico,
No,
could
he'd have to
ruin
win.
that. You know
He'd
what I
have
mean?
to win the title right away. And if you don't win it, it's like, why do you want him? He got 7th place. Like really in Mexico, the only way to be the coach is you got to win the title. And I feel like that's weird when you have a playoff system, right? We talked about that before.
Yeah,
And so
it's
like
very random in a way.
it's very random. And just like Matias Almeida was a top choice a while ago, he's not right now. You bring him in, you're like, what? Like, why? And so like it's very romantic about it. We want it to be right away. And like just exactly if you want Piojo right now, it's not a good move. But if if he wins with America, all of a sudden, hey, he's our coach, and it's not a good look. And I feel like if we can get more young guys to get a chance at other teams somewhere else,
Rafa Marquez starting now in Barcelona.
Yeah, but I see it. I know you're saying him, and I love him, and he's the man. I don't want him on the sideline. I think.
No. See,
I want him
to stay.
Here. Yeah,
he needs to stay far away from the Mexican national team as possible right now. Go through his trajectory.
Yes, go through his trajectory, get a chance, coach, a small team or coach Barcelona, whatever. But then, like, even when he comes, like, to be honest, like, let him be the top dog. Like, forget the coaching. Let's put him up here instead of someone that's making choices that don't know what they're talking about. Like someone that knows how to deal with players. Like, I think a guy like him, I don't know. I think like he's too good to be the coach. I'm sorry. I think he's like too qualified to be a coach. I know it sounds weird, but to me, coaches sometimes are those guys that like, and I know Zidane's a coach. I know a lot of these all-stars are coaches, but I've like Jimmy Lozano kind of has that career to be a solid coach because he wasn't that stud. He was a really good player. He got cut from the World Cup team after being on the FIFA cover, and I still can't get over that. So like Jimmy Lozano has that kind of like those up and downs where it's like, he knows what it's like to be left out. He knows what it's like to not be the star. And I know he's from a rich family. I know his parents were actors and all that. He's not from this, barrio, but I think he's the kind of like athlete that like studied the game because that's the only way for him to play. You know what I mean? And like, a guy like, different guys that we see coaching other leagues, you never heard of them as players. You hear them as the coaches, So I feel like, I don't know, but to me, Rafa Marquez, just like Hugo Sanchez, like, we don't need you on the field, man. We need you guys kind of organizing stuff. And I don't like Hugo Sanchez, but
no, Hugo Sanchez can stay where he is.
He can stay on TV. I know,
he can stay with his hot takes.
But guys that had that kind of trajectory up here, like we need them more as a directivos, guys that like could organize stuff and set up things, and be more strategic about it, and not be the guy day-to-day kind of guy. I don't know. It's just me.
I don't know if Marquez comes out to be the Zidane in Mexico, I'm okay with that too.
But see, I don't think he's dumb enough to go coach La Selección Mexicana. I don't think he's that dumb.
I don't think the Mexican national team would want Rafa Marquez because Rafa Marquez has seen what the Mexican Federation needs to improve on, and he will demand that. He will demand all the things that he saw as a player to be fixed. And if the Federation doesn't want to, they're not going to hire him. I think he's somebody who just has too much intelligence, and then again, he's been there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like
to take it. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I don't think they would want him for that. You know what I mean?
Because then he's gonna let out some real stuff. He's gonna make them change, and I think like letting Rafa Marquez, like, he has an opportunity to coach Barcelona. He really does. Like, he really does have a shot. Like, because he's that guy. He was smart. He like played that position where he saw the whole game develop. He's in the back of the field, and I feel like if he works on that, I could see him. I mean, that to me is a bigger thing. If he's coaching Barcelona, is bigger than coaching the Mexican.
Well, it's the footsteps of like Pep Guardiola, who coached the youth teams before, Zidane, who was coaching youth teams, Raúl, who coaches the youth team at Real Madrid. And I think we kind of forget because Rafa Marquez, we've seen him. He's so familiar to us, but he kind of is in that he's not like Zidane level of talent, but for Barcelona, he is kind of has hierarquía there because he was there for so long, and I think we kind of forget that. I think at times as fans, but he is beloved in Barcelona, and he does have like that kind of stance and support and love from an institution of that level, and to do that. So
he's got to take advantage of that. He's got to take advantage that he's in that like in that Rolodex of coaches, because a guy like Hugo Sanchez has been barking to try to get a chance, but although he was one of like the top dogs in his day, he talks too much, and I'm pretty sure he's just
Well,
stepped on a lot of feet, and I don't think they really want to mess with him.
yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't see, you know what I mean? Like even though he was probably a bigger impact for Real Madrid at the time than Rafa was, but I feel like Rafa like just did his thing, was quiet, played enough. You know, he played 10 seasons or whatever it was, and was there long enough. And I feel like it's just, I don't know, like you say, he's not Ronaldinho, but Ronaldinho's not a coach. You know, Ronaldinho and those guys aren't coaches. You know, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So go back to focus back on the Mexican national team now. So I think we both came up with some players on who we think were from what we saw this summer, both senior team and Olympics.
Yeah,
we got a team going on thinking a month from now World Cup qualifying. Starting in goal, who do you like? I'll tell you if I agree. I might give you some alternative subs of who I like, but we'll see.
Okay, yeah, we'll just roll with like a little starting 11 if we had to play today, right? Like today, if we had to play US, right, and we had to play them today, in Columbus, this is the team I'm going with guys that are ready today. So obviously, we're gonna go with Memo in goal. No Memo, no party. And anyone who knows me, it took me a while to kind of love him. I just kind of was a little hater for a while, just because it was easy to do it, but he's definitely the man now, and he's definitely at his point. This is it right here. This is his last World Cup. This is his shot. So I think Memo's going to be the guy in goal. And I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree. Yeah, if I wanted to roll out the rest, Carlos Salcedo from Santos in there, I think he's earned it. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's not playing today.
I know, but I don't know why Tata won't even call him.
No, I know, and I don't think that's right either. But no, we're talking about today. Ochoa's going to play in goal, and if he wasn't able to go, I think Talavera would be the second choice to play.
Probably.
And I know it's not like our likes, because we want to see something new, but that's just not going to happen today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then in the back, it's the summer of Chaka, man, and I'm going to put Chaka on the outside, because I just don't see anyone else taking his right spot. Not today. So I'm going with Chaka on the right, and then my two center backs. I know they don't know each other, but I feel like we need to find a way to put Araujo and Johan Vasquez together, just because I don't like Cesar Montes yet, and Johan Vasquez is on his way up. Like you said, he's kind of doing the Hector Moreno kind of a trajectory where he's going to go to a small team and kind of work his way and go to Genoa, right, in Italy. So Johan Vasquez with him in the center, and then Gallardo on the left. So I don't know what you think for the defensive back.
I had almost the same exact one. I had Chaka there. I was thinking about maybe putting Jorge Sanchez on there.
It's summer of Chaka, baby.
Oh man, but no, I had Gerardo Arteaga on the left hand side.
Yeah, okay. I'm cool with him too.
Who I think had the best summer by not being involved that much. You know what I mean? I think he had one of those things where
he might have saved himself. I think I'm okay with that because he does play in Belgium and all that. But Gallardo fits the system too. So I think with those two, I think we're not in trouble with either one of those.
No, and sneaky pick, Eric Aguirre, sneaky pick who
he's very.
You can plug him in the left. You can even plug him in the midfield. Versatility.
No, he'll be in the 23. I don't see him starting yet, but I see.
Yeah, I don't think he'll. Yeah, I guess he won't start. But when we look forward to quickly World Cup qualifying, when you go 3 games and in a week, that kind of ability to play different positions like that. But starter probably not. I would say it's between Arteaga and Gallardo to battle out on the left hand spot.
And we're okay either way.
Yeah.
I think right now, like you said,
absolutely.
With the little series, you can rotate him out.
I think Gerardo kind of got a rough go ahead when he did play for Mexico this summer, because the game he played in, they played 3 in the back instead of having a 4, and he was just so far out wide and they didn't involve him enough offensively, and he had to do too much track backing. So I think the setup of a 4-3-3, I think the way we both have it, he works well in that.
And I think he's better than Gallardo, and he has more like trajectory right now, but we'll see what we need to do. If we had to play today, I think Gallardo will get called, but we'll see, because there's still like a month,
Yeah.
So and then the midfield, I'm going with 3, so Hector Herrera's not going anywhere, and so Rio is going to stay there. And then I really like Jonathan Dos Santos. I've always liked him from La Masia, like we talked about before. You could tell he's from La Masia. You could tell he plays that way. Everything's one touch. Everything's a great pass. Everything's a good shot. So I'll put Jonathan Dos Santos right there. And then I'm going to go with and this is where it's really hard because it's really deep right now. I would go with Sebastian Cordova right now. But I know Tata's probably going to call Romo, but I would go with Sebastian Cordova right now.
Okay. Me for my midfield, people are going to hate me for this, I think, but I'm going Edson Alvarez, Herrera, and Guardado. Give me those three, baby. Give me the three. Because Guardado, he's going to be there. Whether you like it or not, he's going to be there. I think if he's healthy, he's going to be there.
I'm okay with that. I think I wouldn't go with Guardado. I mean, that's cool, but I think definitely then I'm going to take out the Romos in them. And I think you're right. And I totally forgot about Edson Alvarez, and Edson Alvarez needs to play. So, but it's okay. I'm still going to stick with what I got. But Edson Alvarez, Jonathan Herrera would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, you have Cordova is a great option. Luis Romo too is also a great option too. And
but I forgot Edson has to play. I'm sorry, Edson's gonna. I messed up. Edson has to play over these guys I just called. So Edson is playing. He's not moving from that spot.
But the good thing with these kind of things you see, whether it's Romo and Alvarez, Guardado, and Dos Santos, or you can even throw in like Gutierrez in there. And they're interchangeable in a way. You know what I mean? They're similar. They're very similar for what Tata wants to do, and Tata has proven that he doesn't really have adjustments to plan Bs besides changing players. So these kind of things kind of work in those favor for that.
And if you you're not really taking a step down. If you take Edson out, you sub him out, you put Romo in, you're really not taking steps down.
Yeah, you're not a huge. You
still got Charlie.
Edson has some strengths that Romo doesn't have, but Romo really showed to be really flexible and playing different areas of the field and doing a lot for that Olympic team, which was
Edson's the next captain, man. I really think he's coming up to be the next captain. I mean, he's really young, and I think after Herrera's run this time, I think the captain band could be passed down. I mean, Edson's a beast, bro. So we'll see. Yeah.
All right. So forwards, do you have? When I thought about this, I was counting Lozano not playing because he hasn't returned yet for Napoli. So I didn't mind without. Okay.
I don't have him in there. We know he's going to play if he's healthy, but I'm going with Funes Mori at the 9 because he's healthy and Jimenez is not there yet as far as in shape. So I'm going Funes Mori at the 9, and I'm going Alexis Vega and Tecatito. And obviously we sub out Tecatito, we put Linus in halfway through the game.
Okay. So if we see Jimenez start for Wolves this weekend, are you changing it?
I don't know, man, because I don't know if they're kind of babying it. I mean, they're not babying it, but they're kind of just waiting to see what he could do. I think that's not going to make him be traveling and stuff. I maybe they probably call him over, and with the 3 games you put him in, we'll see, man. If he starts, like I said, for Wolves in the next 3 weeks and he's playing full games or at least 70 minutes or something, then you do call him. But I don't know, man. Funes Mori, if we played USA tomorrow, Funes Mori would have to play at the 9. I think if we play USA tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, those are the 2 forwards I had between picking them. I had Jimenez with the idea of thinking because the minutes have been getting up little by little by little. It kind of seems from what Wolves are saying from that he's almost pretty much all back. So I'm kind of counting all right, if we got first game World Cup qualifying September.
But do you start him though? It's been a while. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying he's lost his spot. He's definitely the 9. But do you start him right away, or do you sub him in as I think you give him 30 minutes? Do you make him kind of earn it back? I know you can't take it away from getting hurt, but do you just start him right away? I mean, I don't know. What do you do in a month?
I think, I guess I would start him. I want to see what he has. I want to see what he can do. Knowing that you have Funes Mori as that backup, who's a much
and those are going to be the 2 9s. I mean, there's whether people like it or not, those are going to be like you said. He only subs man for man, and they're kind of not dead on, but they're pretty similar. As far as what they can do with the ball. So you just switch him in and out. Because Andy Martin doesn't. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. I mean, and then you'd hope somebody like JJ gets a chance.
But he has to prove it, bro. Because I'm a huge fan of his, and I've been barking at it since he was young, and he was starting out in Chivas. He was scoring all the goals at U17s, right? And I'm like, this is a guy, but he's got to show something. You know what I mean? He's got to show that he needs to be there. Until he shows that, then he's going to be the 6-7 option. You know what I mean? But he's definitely skill-wise can get there. So we'll see, because there's no reason why he shouldn't be there instead of Alan Pulido or a lot of these other guys. But we need to see him do something. We need to see, and I think getting away from Chivas media and getting away from Mexican media, he'll have a little chance to kind of work in Getafe and do his thing. I know they're going to expect a lot because he's a foreigner, but I just feel like I don't know. You see what he did when he went to Leon. You know, he just was able. I know they're a better team. They played better, but I just feel like he'll do better.
Much more professional functioning soccer team
They were
too.
more functionable. They were able to plug him in. They had a better coach. They knew how to use him. But I feel like he also had help. You know, he had Mena. He had guys that could take the pressure off of him, and then he came in and scored the goals. And he's a dope player, man. He just needs to show it though. We can't just give it to him just because he's upcoming. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, player for the future that I think you mentioned him before as well, Santiago Jimenez. Not right now, but definitely future. And actually, I had Vega and Corona as well as the two forwards up top. I think Vega earned it through his playing the Olympics. I know Corona didn't have like the best Gold Cup, but I thought it was just a really long summer. I'm gonna keep just saying he got the crap kicked out of him, and I thought that kind of caught up to him over time. And so, but you have Linus, you have Atuna to be good changes too, and you could even, depending on the situation and what you want to do, you could start Vega on one side, and you can start Linus on the other. You can start Corona on one side, and you can start Atuna on the other, and switch.
Yeah, you got Antuna, you got Antuna, Linus, Chucky, and you got Tecatito that really could technically play all the same position. So you have a lot of guys that you can interchange. They're not all the same, but they do really well. And Alexis Vega, bro. Alexis Vega is the guy of the summer. I'm sorry. I think he's banging on the door. He needs to be on the senior team, and he needs to get minutes, and he needs to leave Chivas, and he needs to go play a bigger team. And I'm sorry. I think Alexis Vega just showed it, bro. Like, this guy has size, speed, quality. He's more consistent than Antuna. He's more consistent than Linus. I'm sorry at this moment. And so I just feel like he needs that chance. He's not a young kid anymore. So yeah. I want to see it.
So those are kind of, so we have similar kind of starting lineups for this. I think from expanding a little bit, the full roster is almost the same too. A couple changes, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires as we get closer to that World Cup, to the World Cup qualifying, because now we'll see where some of the players who were injured are at. Guardado has gotten minutes with Betis, Captain Betis, preseason friendly. It looks like he's going to be the captain when Joaquin isn't. Something that he's had for the last 2 years already with Betis. Yeah, Raul coming back. We'll see the progression with Lozano as well. So a lot of options for Mexico, a deep roster, which will be needed for World Cup qualifying. I think this is something we'll be banging on a lot. The ability to, in that 4-3-3 structure, be able to change different players and plug in different players depending on what the other team is, the strengths of the other team, the weaknesses of the other team.
Don't forget, I feel like we also have to forget, I know we're trying to knock Tata a lot for what happened this summer, but I feel like also Tata, whether he was told or not to, but players that we're mentioning could definitely be on the senior team, and they went to the Olympics instead. So you got to give a shout out to the club owners for allowing them to do that. You got to give a shout out to Tata for allowing it as well, and kind of planning with Jimmy Lozano as far as who gets to go, who doesn't get to go. Because, remember before, the coach used to coach the Olympic team. Remember, that was how it was before. Hugo Sanchez tried to do it and he got fired. So I feel like, Tata would be coaching the Olympic, and then we would send Jimmy Lozano or someone else to go coach the Copa Oro, or his assistant. So we got to give a shout out to Tata, kind of maybe taking a step back and letting that happen, because a lot of these guys we're talking about are starters, man. They're not project players. Like Alexis Vega is not a project player. Linus is not a project player. Those guys are starters, and if they're hot, they're ready to go. Choa obviously wasn't there, so there's guys that aren't there. Romo, shout outs to that, and kind of hopefully they're able to plan that again next time around. Hopefully, the next Olympics, they're able to plan together and do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point there, man. They definitely put an emphasis on having a good showing in the Olympics, and I think that showed. And I think the teams that made the Olympics a priority or a focus, you definitely saw it. Spain has a rule that if a player plays in Spain and is of age and gets called up, he has to go. And you see the fruits of that labor with the quality of roster they had in getting a silver medal. Brazil, they've taken this seriously. The last three Olympics, you're seeing the fruits of that. You see how much it meant to Dani Alves. You see Japan, how important it was for them with the team they brought in to host and have a good showing for them. Mm-hmm. And I thought they made themselves proud. And yes, Mexico, the planning they put in 2 years before on having some sort of progression, you're seeing that too. So absolutely, I think we bang on the federation a lot negatively for for a lot of things they do, rightfully so. But I think in this one, they did a great job planning. And when you see what happens when teams plan and take it seriously, unlike a Germany, unlike a France, who don't have those same rules that a Spain has, who don't have these plans that Mexico does, you see it here for Mexico. So shout out to the federation for that, and for the coaches and their flexibility in that too.
And it shows the talent also that you have in the Mexican league of young guys, not just guys that are Mexican, because before Mexico had a lot of good players, but they're in Europe. You see, that's what happened with Hugo Sanchez. He wasn't able to qualify because Gio, Vela, all these other guys weren't able to come anyways, right? They weren't allowed to come. So he had to go with another team, which they should have still qualified.
So, yeah, but now you're using USA. Now you're using USA
excuses. No.
Don't be using USA excuses.
I'm sorry. But I'm just giving you examples of like, this isn't before a lot of the best Mexican youth were not in Mexico. I'm not saying that we want that. We want players around in Europe, but it shows how much talent is in Mexico. And Guignac has said it too. He's like, all these guys, the Olympic team, play in the Mexican league, like they have like 80 games, 80 caps. Like they've been playing for 2-3 years, So it's not like they're rookies, and that's a big.
Absolutely.
That's big.
Yeah. All right. Moving along, Mexican League, Liga MX, right when the Gold Cup ends, the Olympics are wrapping up. Liga MX is 3 weeks in. We also have a tournament between 4 teams of Liga MX, 4 teams of the MLS, a non-FIFA sanctioned tournament, kind of like put together knockout League Cup, I think it's called. Did I get it right?
Leagues Cup.
Leagues Cup. It was supposed to happen last year. I was kind of excited last year for it because when I lived in Portland, the Timbers were going to host one of the games. Didn't happen. They moved the tournament on this season, new teams. Where are you at right now with Liga MX and this kind of iteration of another tournament? CONCACAF Champions League starting up soon again too. So, Mexican soccer doesn't stop. So much going on right now with that. Where are you at with everything with that?
It's like with jaripeos and like concerts. There's too much. It's like I can't even keep up with what group is.
It's like Mexico in December.
It's too much. Un baile every day. It's just too much. And I get it. It's the cash cow, but like there's just no need for that. I'm sorry. The leagues. I get the idea. It's money. I also get like the idea, like the Mexican league is like, hey, we want every team playing an international tournament, and this will count as one of them. But like you said, it's not FIFA sanctioned. There's no need for it. It's almost like they should just send the bottom of the table from the season before. Like, give Mazatlán a chance, give Chivas a chance, give other teams a chance to go play at this. I just don't. There's no need of this, man. I don't want to see this. I really don't care.
It's wild, right? Because you have the Leagues Cup and Champions League. Also, you have Monterrey playing against Cruz Azul. You have Club America against the Union in a tournament that in the spring, early spring, late spring, early summer, had the first couple of knockout legs into it, and you have that. Then you have this, which actually means something, which it does stand for something. Then you have the Leagues Cup, which kind of a makeshift tournament put together.
And you got the All-Star game coming up.
You got the All-Star game coming up, which we'll touch on. It's 2 weeks away. We'll touch
next
on those
episode, we're going to talk about the whole All-Star game for sure.
Yeah, so much going on. And then you have the league itself, and you have these teams that aren't complete. Some of these teams aren't even complete yet. These players haven't even had time to rest, and they're throwing these games 3 weeks into the season. Oh, man. Cruz Azul, Toluca right now, the only team in Liga MX after 3 weeks who have won all 3 games. Everybody else has already dropped points.
I think, as fans, we're tired. Like, we're tired, bro. Like, this is a lot. So I feel like the players are also probably like, man, even the teams, So, Chivas is not where they're at. 4 of their players weren't there, It's just a lot of things, man. I think Liga MX, we got to kind of wait till like the 7th, 8th week where you're like, okay, now people got together, their players are back from international activity, and people started summing points a little bit. So we'll see, man. I don't know. I'm not really impressed with too many teams. I know Toluca, like you said, won their 3 games. America was playing here and there, but they got so many games going on right now. It's a lot, So we can't complain because in Europe they do all the time. They have all these cups, and we want the Mexican league to get to that point where they have all these cups. But as a fan, last week, bro, I took a break. This weekend I watched no games. I was tired, like from watching soccer, kind of like, man, I'm just gonna watch Amazon Prime and other stuff. So yeah, how do you feel about the league? How do you feel about your team? We can talk about your team if you want. Atlas, how do you feel about them?
Only team that hasn't allowed a goal yet. 2 wins, first 3 games. The next couple, you got their next schedule. The next part of their schedule is pretty tough. Club America, Santos, Toluca, Tigres, Monterrey. So tough stretch coming in, and that'll be a real testing point of this team But I like, I like Atlas. I like what they have. I like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very excited about what I've seen so far, what the players they have, and they're kind of carrying on where they finished off last year, the last half of the tournament, where they kind of got into that quarterfinals spot. Lost by a goal to Puebla, but it kind of seems like they were definitely building with that. You have Fuchs healthy now, Vargas, who I think should have been on the MLS All-Star roster as one of the
Yeah,
best
he's
tournaments,
a
one of
bad
the best
keeper,
keepers.
man.
He's a fantastic keeper. He's a suplente for Colombia, so he's not just some scrub or some guy. He's been there for a while too. I think America were almost bought him too, but yeah,
I think. Come on,
yep,
a
yeah,
lot of
Reyes,
Liga MX goalies are dope. I think a lot of them
yeah,
are dope.
oh, very, yeah,
Yeah, international or not, even the Mexican guys, like there's a lot of dope goalies where like, I mean, that's a position in Mexico that's always really been covered, and it's really hard to get a spot there. Because even like Mexican teams have backup goalies that are dope too, So
yes, absolutely,
yeah, and
yeah.
like guys have come through here that are, like you said, international players. Machusin was in here, and Nahuel Guzman. And these guys play for Argentina. So Camilo Vargas is dope. I just don't think, like you say, he plays for Atlas. He doesn't have maybe like that push from the promote like everybody else gets. Especially like, come on, they were going to play Memo on the first All-Star game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this we can talk about more
yes,
because it's an all-star team, but it's
more like
it's
a
a
tribute
marketing
game. It's like
it's
a
a
tribute
marketing
game.
it's a kind of like a marketing all-star team. To get
Next
back to the point
episode. Next episode.
about Atlas though, it's as I've gotten older, my fandom is still, I watch every game and I'm there for them, but I don't, I always take it with a grain of salt. I always now I hold my I I don't start thinking about title. I always hope for a title, but I never, so when they play well, I'm always I always hold on. I was I'm enjoying it for what it is now. I've embraced the losing for decades and decades and decades.
It's only
But
70, man. It's only 70
it's
years.
something that I thoroughly enjoy, and I really like when they do well. So the good start is very nice. It, but yeah, it's just very nice, and I enjoy it a lot. But I do temper my expectations with them every year, and so
and we'll touch more on the Liga MX next week for sure.
I will take one more thing about the Liga MX though, and you talk about about the 8, about maybe by week 7, week 8, the quality might get better. I think this might be a pretty choppy quality Liga MX because you're getting a break every month for international duty. So every couple of 3 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, every month, these teams are gonna have to not stop, but they're gonna take a break for international duty, and it's just gonna put a halt again for these teams. So I expect I'm kind of expecting a really choppy Liga MX where the top, last year Cruz Azul and had a ton of points. Copa America had a ton of points. I don't expect a very top-heavy Liga MX this season because there's going to be so much start and stop. So I think it's going to the point difference is going to be very low, and especially the last 4 weeks of the season, you're going to have so many teams with an opportunity to make the repechaje. You're going to have these teams battling for the top 4.
It'll be close. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it'll be much close.
I just want to wait, like you said, 7 weeks, 8 weeks to see where we're at. But I think, all the breaks, man. We got the FIFA breaks, Copa Champions break. I mean, not breaks, but Copa Champions in the way. So you got reserves playing on the weekend, and it's going to be tough for a lot of these like big teams to kind of compete because they have like all these guys just playing here everywhere. They got international players. You got Memo who's going to be playing with an all-star team and playing with the Mexican team, and like
you almost want to survive the season and just be in a position. You know what I mean?
To make that strike at the end.
Yeah. You just want to be. Yeah. So I think a team like Necaxa is going to be out of it all season, but there's going to be much more teams kind of floating in average mediocrity with a chance to make it than there are going to be super teams like leading the pack, and teams in the bottom like Necaxa right now who are just terrible. I think so. Yeah, that's my prediction from what I've seen so far, and kind of what looking ahead with the kind of schedules bringing us, and with all these different things happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Any 50-50s this week?
50-50, man. I'm gonna take a break from coffee So I just want to know, man, what are your thoughts on coffee every day? Are you a coffee drinker?
Oh yeah, coffee drink. Yeah, I'll drink 2, maybe 3 cups of coffee a day.
Holy crap! How do you
Yeah,
drink
I'll
it?
take.
How do you drink it?
Usually at home I'll have black, just a black cup of coffee.
Mhm.
I like to have my morning with the black cup of coffee and a sparkling water. That's why I like the way I start my day off, and then I'll have one like in the afternoon. If we go out somewhere for like brunch or like something like that, I'll have it with cream and sugar, but one cream, one sugar, but usually just black. And then like tonight when I'm having a late indoor game like at 10 o'clock, I'll have a cup of coffee probably around 8 o'clock.
Man, I'm right now. I need coffee right now. So I was taking a break though. I'm trying to do this tea thing. So
Okay, how do you like
um,
it? I heard that if you go
it's
like
hard, but I want to go back to tea. I feel like coffee was a pandemic thing. I was at home a lot. I was drinking a lot of coffee, but I want to go back to tea. The coffee thing is like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not sleeping enough and then I'm up too late. And
I've heard
I
the
don't
first
know.
week is tough,
It's
but
sometimes
then
like,
once you get past the first
yeah,
week,
because you get the
it's
withdrawals, right? You get the headaches, but like
yeah.
I was doing this, like I was getting to the point I was getting espressos in here, and then I started getting kind of jittery, man. So I was like, you know what? Let me tone it back, and I'm gonna go to tea.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I used to, back in the past life, I used to work at like a fine dining Italian restaurant. I was a maitre d, and so we had this very nice coffee machine. And so, when my shift would start, like 4 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, just make myself drink it, just have some couple coffees in the evening. I got
funny.
very accustomed to it.
It's funny.
So yeah,
All
but
right, that's
that's a good
good.
50-50. Yeah. My 50-50. My 50-50 is where are you at? How'd you feel about Canada winning gold? We talked about the men's Olympics. Canada win their first gold. Kristen Sinclair, got to give a shout out. Kristen Sinclair from Portland Thorne and the
Oh yeah,
University of Portland.
oh yeah.
Uh, I mean, they got the gold, man. What do you think about that?
And we talked about. I mean, we talked about how they are going to be very competitive. I mean, like we said before, a lot of determining factors come into that. Developed country, a kind of well-off country, educated women allowed to play sports and different things like that. So I feel like with NWSL growing and the MLS growing, I think that Canada men they're not very far from that. They're not very far from that. I think they should be probably the third best team in the region pretty soon. I mean, I don't think they have enough club teams but they're Canada, dude. You know what I mean? It's not one of these small countries that we're talking about, these smaller countries that are, whatever. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if the men are that close, but the women just put their stamp on it, man. So 3 CONCACAF teams got medals. The U.S. women's got bronze, Mexican men got bronze, and the Canadians, and then Brazil, and a team from the Americas, right, got gold. So like, man, the West Coast, baby, we're running this. So I'm excited. I'm glad that Canada got a chance to win that, and somebody else other than U.S. To kind of change it up. And we talked about U.S. kind of like having to start making changes. So it could be a kind of time to start turning the page a little bit. I know the World Cup's coming up, but they're gonna have to start getting some fresh legs in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I thought it was to get that monkey off the back to beat the USA, and then to go on and not be settled with that beating a rivalry. I think sometimes when you can beat a rival in a semifinal or something like that, it could take so much out of you, especially with such little turn time between these games.
And they beat Sweden. Sweden's not
And they
going
beat
away for
Sweden.
the World Cup either. So watch
No,
out.
absolutely, and they beat Sweden PKs.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved the goalkeeper for Canada during the shootout, just coming out, just staring down the shooter from 6 yards out. Talking her smack, just playing the mental mind games. It was incredible. I mean, 6 shots, only 2 went in. So, and I think, yeah, it's so great. I think for a team like Canada, because they're for so long, especially like the last 5 years. The USA has gotten the upper hand, and for them to finally get that monkey off their back and to top it off with a gold, it just breeds that confidence that that program really needs, especially when you have players like Sinclair who are on their way out, for this new generation to feel revamped and re-energized and by that, inspired by that. You know what I mean? That's the inspiration that comes from it.
Heck
I
yeah.
think speaks so much larger than the medal itself. Now they have something to look at, because in the past they had a lot of defeats to look at. When you look at London, they lost to the U.S. in the semifinals, I believe, in a very tight game. And now a new generation can see this and see the fruits and the prosperity of it. We're not that far off from being elite. We're on our day. We can do this, and
Yeah.
given the opportunity, it's there. So it's it's all about giving the opportunity for that.
Yeah, shout outs to them. That was dope.
Yeah, and shout out to Sweeney too. Good run.
Yeah, that was good. Good game too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I think that does it for us, Guti. You got some papers to grade.
No, I gotta get ready for tomorrow. I gotta get ready a little bit.
Gotta get ready for some.
Get my son ready for his first day of school, and we got a lot of things to do at this house. We're gonna go to bed late today for sure.
Gotta get ready. Gotta get ready for some apples tomorrow.
Little apple slices, get his little PBJ going. So yeah,
that's right. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Guti, thank you again so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep listening to us. We appreciate the feedback. Anything you have, any of it. Guti, any last words?
Yeah, man. Find us on Twitter, Instagram. That's all in the episode notes. And let us know you listen to the show. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right. It's kind of like, well, it's one way to put it.
It was especially when they were starting out.